Cuando nosotros empezamos a comprar y trajimos para Europa, en Europa no nos gusta. Necesitamos tener todavía. China sacó uno de doble SIM física. Un iPhone de doble SIM física. Lo trajimos a Europa y no nos gusta tampoco. Nos gusta el híbrido ahí, parece. Así que bueno, esa es mi historia con los eSIM.
Oye, y habéis dado el punto de vista de diferentes perspectivas y diferentes aplicaciones, pero ¿quién controla ahora mismo la cadena de valor y la velocidad de implantación de la tecnología? ¿Esto es más de operadores? ¿Esto es más de presión del cliente hacia que puede ser una moda o no una moda, porque al final es funcional? ¿Quién al final realmente manda en todo esto? ¿Son los fabricantes de dispositivos? ¿Son los integradores? ¿Quién es un poco el que va marcando el paso? Empezamos por ti otra vez, Santiago.
Realmente creo que hay un poco de los dos. Pienso que los operadores están mirando muy de cerca el tema de la eSIM porque su activo real es el contacto con los clientes. Y en la medida que empiece a pasar que no sea necesario la SIM física, que ya el eSIM venga embedded en los fabricantes, lo que va a terminar pasando es que los que van a tener los contratos a nivel global con los operadores de telefonía móvil van a ser los fabricantes y van a terminar siendo muy parecido a una compañía de electricidad, donde simplemente dan un commodity y ya. Entonces hay que ver hasta dónde los operadores tienen tanto interés en que se fomente tanto la eSIM. Esa es mi percepción.
Bueno, yo desde mi punto de vista, la eSIM es una herramienta para ahorrar costes a los carriers. Para el carrier ahora mismo es una definición por software de una numeración física que no necesita de crear, de mantener, que se degrada, que además es, pues es extraíble, etcétera, mientras que una eSIM pues, es un software que va embebido en un teléfono y que incluso se llegó a plantear, si no recuerdo mal, en Estados Unidos ahora 4 o 5 años, que esas SIMs fuesen definidas directamente por el carrier y que no diese la opción al usuario de modificar los teléfonos. ¿Vale? Es un paso más de control del usuario final. Pero bueno, es mi humilde opinión.
Bien, yo en mi caso, nosotros somos muy agnósticos con nuestros productos, entonces no vamos ligados a ninguna tecnología en concreto, nos vemos supeditados 100% a por lo que nos marca el cliente, ya sea por temas de seguridad o por casuísticas propias de las plantas donde operamos. Entonces nos encontramos con esa casuística que el cliente manda.
Se le pasa muy bien la bola aquí, Antonino. Vamos a ver, a nosotros no nos afecta directamente. Yo te puedo dar el feedback a nivel de usuario y yo he sido de los que tenía 2 SIMs y de los que odiaba llevar 2 teléfonos y que ojalá tuviese 3 SIMs para poder tener 3 teléfonos porque ahora mismo los necesitaría. Y sí, pero no activos. Activos solo puedes tener 2, que yo sepa. Entonces, me imagino que presión vengan los operadores. Supongo que les interesa facilitar el cambio de usuario. La semana pasada cambié de teléfono y fue un follón, aunque fuese eSIM, y el SIM fue más fácil cambiarle que el eSIM, porque el SIM le cambié, el eSIM tuve que cancelar uno, activar otro. Entonces, me da la sensación que no está resuelto, que es más como usuario que no de business a business, lo que comentaba.
Hello and welcome back to our stage here at the Spain Pavilion. If you walk around the Spain Pavilion, you're going to find 49 different companies, different tech companies, Spanish tech companies, that we've invited to share this wonderful pavilion space with us. And not only do we want to give them a space in the pavilion, but we also want to give them a space in our program here in the conferences. The first company that's going to present for us is Weplan Analytics. You can find them in booth number 34 in the Spain Pavilion. And here to talk to us about exploring the next frontier of connectivity through crowdsourcing, insights into the Starlink network, please welcome Jorge García Cabeza. He's a data scientist for Weplan Analytics. Jorge, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Rio. And thank you for joining us here. It's not a very good time because it's lunch time, but I'm going to tell you about why are we here. First of all, we are a crowdsourced company that is expert on measuring connectivity networks. For this, we need to be expert in three main areas. The first area is that we need to know how to develop data systems that allows us to measure high-quality data and geolocated data in a global basis. The second is that we are able to build big data architectures that allows us to process this data and to serve our customers. And third, and the most important thing, is that we know exactly how to obtain data-driven insights and tools from the data we collect. This makes us to be at the forefront of innovation in terms of measurement, and we are capable of measuring LEO satellite networks. The first thing is that the networks have faced two historical challenges. The first one is related with ubiquity connectivity. It's not possible to have access to broadband connectivity unless you are near urban centers. And the second challenge is coverage gap, which means the people, when goes beyond the coverage of base stations, lose connectivity. To this end, we can identify two emerging use cases provided by Starlink. The first one is the Starlink Wi-Fi, which allows people to have a dish connected to a router to have connectivity everywhere the user is. And the second use case to face the challenge of coverage gaps are the Starlink direct-to-cell, which promises global coverage by means of MNOs partnerships to unmodified phones. What we can do as a crowdsourced provider is to provide data-driven insights, mainly how the network works in terms of performance, and second, how people are using these networks. This allows us to measure the use cases adoption. If we go to the first use case related with Starlink Wi-Fi's, we need to talk about how different networks looks like. We can see in blue how an MNO network looks like in our geolocated data. We can see clusters connected by edges, which highlights the traffic and mobility patterns. And on the other side, we have how an internet service provider network looks like in our data. There are much more clustered measurements around urban centers. If we look to a Starlink network footprint, even if it's a fixed services, we can see that looks like more similar to the MNO network. This suggests us that people is not using Wi-Fi in a fixed location. Our data reveals that in Central Europe, nearly half of the Starlink subscribers are giving a nomadic use of their Starlink services. And not only this, we can dissect which type of nomadic use the users are doing with Starlink. Mostly they use in land vehicles, but we can see that around 5% of the subscribers are using the Wi-Fi in vessels, in offshore and inland vessels. And there's a slight low adoption related with aeroplanes. I told you that we collect high-quality data. This allows us to identify every type of footprints. It doesn't matter if there are not too many people using this service as in water environment. We can identify it. We can see here the Spanish Mediterranean coast and also the northern French rivers and British channels, where we can see inland and also offshore users connected through Starlink. The second use case, which is very important and allows to face the challenge of dead zones, is the direct-to-cell. We conducted the first empirical study in the world regarding the beta phase of the partnership between T-Mobile and Starlink. What we saw in the data is that as the deployment of new satellites in orbit increased, we saw an increase in our measurement. We capture more measurements across the US. And not only this, we also see two spikes on our data, one in October 2024 and one in January 2025, regarding the activation of emergency use case of Starlink services during Hurricane Milton, in Florida, in North and South Carolina, and also in Los Angeles wildfire. But what we saw during all the period, which was from late 2024 to July 2025, is that there were some certain areas that had an unstable number of measurements and a high number of measurements. These were the one highlighted here, the natural parks. We can see highlighted with one Death Valley and two Yellowstone. So in national parks, we saw that, in fact, Starlink was eliminating dead zones with the direct-to-cell service. We can see here how the footprint, this is the location of our data, looks like. We had the T-Mobile footprint, which was nearly zero in the Death Valley, which means that when you drive across Death Valley, you had no connectivity. And then that what we have seen is that an emerging number of measurements appear in blue regarding the T-satellite service. This is direct-to-cell. Here, we can see a better example of how the supplemental coverage is happening, where the network of T-Mobile doesn't reach, the network of T-satellite reaches. And also, I told you that we process data daily and at a worldwide scale. So what we have saw is that UK announced the service of O2 using direct-to-cell. Then they said on their website a coverage map saying where you can access to this service. And this is how data started to look like in our databases. As you can see, we are capturing everything in the moment it happened. We don't need to wait for quarterly reports. We don't need to wait to what the MNO publish. We have the data where users are having a real connectivity. So to sum up, I would like to highlight three main takeaways. First of all is that Starlink Wi-Fis are not even facing the challenge of ubiquitous connectivity. They are providing some use cases that wasn't imagined, because it's a plug-and-play technology that makes it easy to be connected everywhere with a really decent or a really good quality of service. Then the direct-to-cell tells us that, in fact, supplemental coverage from space is being achieved. But then a lot of questions arises. Is this coverage all the time available? Is this coverage enough to have data services similar to terrestrial services? And the last thing I would like to highlight is that this create a huge amount of opportunities. But I'm also sure that it remains unproven how people could be using these opportunities. Thanks a lot. If you are more interested in our direct-to-sale research, you can access this QR. And if you want to chat now, you can find us at booth 34. Thank you.